Hey, so today we have Carlos Sanchez with Continental Roof Company. I believe you guys are out of Cincinnati.
We are in Westchester. It's basically a suburb of Cincinnati. It's just north of actual Cincinnati, but we're pretty much in the middle between Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, gotcha. And what type of services do you provide?
Well, we are a full service construction company, but we do have an emphasis on the roofing. So Continental Construction and Consulting is the parent company to Continental Roof Company, and we've kind of everybody's dove into the roofing side of it, and That's that's what we focus on. We don't advertise the other stuff, but we still do it. We still do quite a bit of interior remodels, rebuilds, basement build outs, doctors' offices, accounting offices, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you get into residential and commercial roofing?
Absolutely, yeah. We do about 80% residential and about 20% commercial.
Gotcha. Um, Tell me a little bit about the commercial side of things. What types of roofs do you typically put on? I know TPO is there's a big push for that. I don't know about in the Midwest. Are you still putting down EPDM roofs?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Huh.
the big thing. TPO is great for the southern climates for the reflectivity. Up here, we're in a much colder climate up here. It's cooler most of the year than it is hotter, so the black absorbs. It's just a different people automatically assume that all roofs need to be white or vinyl. It just depends on where you're living and what market you're living in and what the climate is in that area. EPDM here.
Yeah, I'm curious. It sounds like you come from the insurance background. Is that how you kind of got into this?
I got into roofing sales first, and then I got into the adjusting side of insurance, and then I went back into the roofing. So I spent several years as an adjuster, insurance adjuster, and then got recruited by a roofing company to chase storms and did a little bit of the storm chasing thing. And I moved to Cincinnati about 15, 16 years ago, and then was hired on by a roofing company here locally. Then I eventually branched off and started my own company. So Continental Roof Company has been around for about 15 years now.
Okay. All right. Well, you got a nice following in the background there, I would say. So you mentioned storm chasing. Have you come down to Florida for any of that?
We've been to Florida a couple of times right after uh, a couple of the hurricanes. I was running production for a contractor there in Florida, Pensacola, I believe. And
Okay.
then when the hurricane, I think it was Rita or the one that hit, it blew out the whole Orange Beach, Floribama border. The
Yes.
hurricane, I forgot which one that was, but I worked out of an office at Orange Beach at that time too. So yeah, it's the same basic thing. Kind of, got hired on by a local guy who really could handle the onslaught of work and needed some management help. And I was known in the industry to be that go to production guy. I could handle, large production scaled production companies.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm actually located in Florida in the Jacksonville area.
Gotcha.
So I've had my share of those storm chasing as well.
Yeah, it's a
Those can
different
be
beast out there.
It sure is, yeah, and it can be pretty challenging getting those customers, when those things roll in. You mentioned the production side of things, and, I looked at your website, and your website is really nice. You're, very well laid out, and, you have the chat and the whole 9 yards, so you got your customer service down. I noticed that you use a lot of the latest technology as far as that's concerned, and one of the things that stuck out to me was, the stack construction. Is that how you do your estimating for the most part?
Using Stack.
Yeah,
I mean, are you talking about the actual software called Stack? Because there's a
yeah,
software. Okay, yeah. I used to do a ton of new construction, and I used that to pull my takeoffs to be able to the blueprints. I don't have any software that would do a takeoff. Nowadays, everybody's emailed in blueprints, but when you print out a blueprint from a computer, it's not to scale. No matter what
right.
you do, it's not going to get to scale. So that's I was using Stack for that, and it was very very useful. I loved it. It was an incredible tool if you're in that world. I just don't do much new construction at all anymore. I pulled out of that 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, sometimes that can be a race to the bottom.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was probably the biggest new construction roofer in the Cincinnati area. That's what we call the tri-state, Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana.
Okay.
I did several of the large tract home builders and dozens of custom home builders. I was probably would you go toe to toe with some of the bigger roofing companies here as far as new construction went. It just became very, very stressful, low margins, like you said, very, very low margins and very slow pay, 45, 60, sometimes 90 days to get paid. Uh, my roofers, my labor doesn't wait to get paid. It became very, very stressful, and it just wasn't worth it. And the funny thing about it was that I got out of it, and about a year and a half later, the VCs and the private equity firms started knocking on my door, wondering how much it would take to buy me out. One of the first questions they would ask was, "Do you do any new construction?" And I'd say no. And I thought they wanted it, and they're like, "Okay, good. We don't want any new construction." So I realized that,
That's interesting.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't want that.
Um, yeah, that is so how many salespeople do you have on your team?
There's one, two, three, four. I've got a business development guy. So we got, maybe four salespeople.
Okay. How do you go about sending them out, and what's your strategy there?
Well, the big thing that we focus on is networking. We're big on building a community, building relationships. We're big in the community. We do big things like gift cards to our police, fire, and EMS.
Nice.
We do a lot of free roof programs with developmental disabilities folks over in Butler County, which is the county that we live in. So with that, one of the requirements, if you're a salaried salesperson, is that you join a networking group. And the big one that we like to push is BNI, Business Network International, which is the largest networking group in the world. And there's probably 40 plus chapters in our area. And they take one
Wow.
person from each industry or each profession, and they meet every week. It's a very, very strict, very structured organization, but it's true. It definitely will increase your sales once you buy into the lifestyle, because it's all about givers gain. It's all about giving as much as you can, and then it will come back to you. If you go into it expecting something, then that's when you get disappointed. But that's the big thing that we push is networking, local chambers, other networking groups. And what I would tell everybody is because our industry is very, very dependent on storms. The people are waiting for a storm to happen, waiting for a storm. And I told my guys, listen, if you do your job right, if you make the connections that you make with your insurance agents, your real estate agents, your property management companies, your local people, then when the storm hits, it'll chase you because they'll be calling you instead of a storm chaser. So
Yeah.
that's how we the majority of what we do is through that. And I've spent probably the better part of the last 10 years building a lot of those relationships and nurturing those, and a lot of that's paying back. So that I've got leads that are coming in based on those connections I've made, and I'm handing those out to the guys, and then they're obviously generating their own. Um, this year was our first year that we tried any kind of advertising, and we put some radio ads in to the local talk stations. We've been doing that for this past year, and it's another one of those things. I think anybody that's ever bought into any kind of marketing will tell you that nothing works overnight. It's something that you got to consistently put through, push, and little by little, your name starts to stick in people's minds. But those are the
Yeah,
main
very
things.
true. Very true. You mentioned the giving part and the gift cards to fire, police, things of that nature. It sounds like you're very involved with the community, and you also support a lot of charitable organizations from what I could tell. You want to tell me anything important about that? It sounds like you really are embedded.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure is I'm a people person, and then when you hear everyone has a story, I don't care if you're 5 years old or 50 years old, everybody's got a story to tell. And one of the things that we've learned quickly is when you dive into these nonprofits, whether it's kids with cancer or veterans or disabled, there's the people with stories, and it's very, very. We put a roof on for a lady a few years ago. She was 80 something years old. We did it just kind of reaching out to our local, government body, and they said we think we have somebody. So we go out there. We said yes, we can do this roof. We can replace it. And then all of a sudden, they've got the TV stations, the newspapers interviewing us, and we thought it was kind of odd that making such a big deal about it. Well, the thing was that this woman who was 80 years old had 2 children who had been raised basically with state help. They were both individuals were developmentally disabled. They were son had passed away a couple of years prior at 56, 57 years old. The daughter was 57 years old, and she was still living with her. With the mind of a child, the mind of a 3-year-old. And this because the state programs require that their homes be inspected for obvious reasons. They noticed that there was a leak and there was mold and all that. So hearing this woman tell this story about being kicked, getting ready to be kicked out of her house had it not been for us coming in, there was a room full of grown men with tears running down their face. So that's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a moving moment. Those are powerful things that we can change someone's life with something as simple as a dollar bill or a repair or a roof, and that's resonates with us. We all love a good feel good story. We all do. And unfortunately for the media and our surrounding news networks, we don't get much of that. The more it bleeds, the more it leads is literally something that one of the reporters told me. So if we can do that a little bit each year and change someone's life just for a moment, then it's worth it. And we focused on that. And obviously that resonates with people and they support us and we support them. And it's that giver's game mentality that's gotten us to where we are right now.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's a great story, and, it's something that our industry really relies on is having that, relationship. Nothing seems to or will ever replace that. Just generating relationships, being belly to belly, and, it's just, I don't think that'll ever go anywhere.
Yeah. I keep reminding my guys that we're human beings. We are not a roofing company. We're not a machine that puts on roofs. We're human beings. Each of us has family that we deal with. And if you convey that to your customers, they connect with that and they'll deal with you in human ways. That's the one thing that we forget as a consumer society is that everyone's a transaction sometimes. It feels like, the people that you're doing business with, whether it's the guy that's running your coffee from Starbucks in an Uber or the banker that you're trying to get a loan with, we're all just human beings out there trying to make something for ourselves and try to take care of our families. So if we keep reminding each other of that, then it's a lot easier to do business. It's a lot easier to conduct business and trust and forgive.
Yeah. No, very, very true and a very good point. So judging, and we touched a little bit on the technology side of how you do things, and it sounds to me like you really combine both of it with, as far as the technology end of things, and then also, you know, having those personal relationships. Uh how do you balance that? Like, what would you say are some more of the outdated tools that a lot of the old school people still use, actually? I mean, I'll bring up door knocking for
Right.
example. There's still a lot of that. Manual calculators, writing down the roof dimensions when you walk up there and getting on the roof and that kind of thing. Some of that you're not going to get away from, but with those types of ways of getting things done, what have you implemented that has kind of streamlined that process?
Well, that's funny you say that. We still have one guy that loves to door knock, by the way, just so you know. He loves to do it. It's getting harder and harder, but he loves to do it. And you're right. How it seems almost contradictory, oxymoronic to implement something like AI and take the human out of it. But for us, it's taking the human error out of it. So if we can have an AI agent answer the phones and capture all the information that we need consistently every time, then it's a lot easier to connect with that person when it's time to connect with that person. If that person needs to talk to someone in person, there's obviously that option. But we want to be able to capture as much information methodically, medicinally, just kind of clean, simple information. And then we can take it from there. The human can take it from there and go forward. We use technology in something as simple as the measurements. Obviously, there's several measuring software out there. We've built our own measuring tool for some basic stuff. We're in the middle
Hmm.
of building our own CRM sales software to help run our roofing company completely from A to Z to automate a lot of the things that keep a small outfit like us, a one man show and a bunch of salespeople trying to manage a roofing company can become daunting if one guy everybody can sell, but only one guy can measure or break down measurements into materials and ordering and so forth. So if we can automate a lot of that stuff and take the human out of it, then we're able to free up to do the things that we like to do, which is meet with people. We everyone in my company loves to talk to people. And when you're out doing paperwork or don't get me wrong, I still measure a roof every now and then from the roof, whipping my tape measure around like I've been doing it forever. But I enjoy that. If it's an easy roof to measure, I'm going to go out there and measure, and people love that I can
Yeah,
spit out an estimate right then and there when everyone that they've had come out to give them an estimate has said, I'm going to have to get back to you or I'll email it to you. We've built a whole presentation. So we love Zoom, and that, people are like, well, that's contradictory to what you're talking about. Connect with it. No, it connects a lot more people that way than normal. In our industry, it used to be 5 p.m. or after or Saturdays that you can meet with somebody,
yeah,
or if you could bring in both people, husband and wife. Now we can say, let's do a quick lunch Zoom meeting for 30 or 45 minutes. I'll be able to give you everything that you need to know, show you some really cool technology that we've developed, and then you can make a decision based on that. And we walk them through the whole presentation. It's a step-by-step pictorial of we use their house for the demonstration of the pictures, and then I'm able to do the color visualize, out there nowadays, be able to put, how would you like to see your house with all these new colors of shingles? I love that. And every
that's
time,
great.
it never fails. Every time that we've done that, they're blown away. They're very happy. They're very grateful. And we don't sign every single one of them, but
Right.
the majority of them we do, because we've done a little bit more to involve the customer in that process than just handing them a piece of paper with a bunch of roofing lingo and a number at the bottom.
That's pretty cool, to be able to do that. It sounds like your sales team isn't involved in the actual estimating. Is that you that pretty much handles that?
It's a little bit of everyone. I think, a couple of the guys are getting comfortable spitting out their own estimates. I literally sent out a template yesterday, an easy way of getting a quick estimate put together for a customer if they need it. Or I mean, if it's a very very extensive roof with a lot of stuff, we've got an estimating service that we use. A Systemate. The guys over at Systemate are incredible, super fast, and very thorough. So if we're trying to, max out a claim for a customer of ours, then we go that route. But for the most part, it's me, or a combination of me and good old fashioned calculator.
All right, so there you go. Still got to mix those old school ways of doing
Totally.
things. Yeah. Very good. What do you where do you see? I mean, since you have a good background in both of these, where do you see the roofing industry in 10 years and handling these types of, do you think sales is always going to remain the same? Is there technology that you're looking forward to that might be able to make the job easier?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I think that I get 3 or 4 emails a day about somebody who wants to send me 10 leads for local people that are wanting roofs. I think little by little, the lead generation is going to fine tune itself. You're going to start seeing the AI agent take over a lot of the menial stuff, the phone answering, the calculations, a lot of, we're going to start, we're pushing for to be able to have a conversational bot, to be able to have a conversation with an AI avatar. So you're talking to somebody and you really probably wouldn't be able to tell whether they're human or not, just because of the fact that the media is going to get to the point to where we're able to have a video like presentation of a live avatar talking, discussing, presenting, answering questions on a roof. And is that going to take away everything? No, of course not. People are still going to want to see a guy out, visiting them, bringing them samples. It's just going to happen. It's just going to be less and less. I've got several people that I've been talking to in the last year and a half when we've been pushing this thing to VC. Venture capitalists have been very interested in our software, and some of the people that I've been talking to are like, some people still want to get that piece of paper from a customer, or that fact. Who's faxing anymore? That's crazy. And I said, that's true. There might be, but once these kids that have grown up with nothing but a quick answer to all their questions via phone or tablet, once they grow up to the age to where they're buying, then that's going to be less and less. The people that are right now in their 50s and 60s, in 20 years from now, aren't probably going to be buying a whole lot. And those people are the last of the, I need to see somebody in person, come to my house, measure this roof. type people. It's going to be more and more I told everyone, I said, I want to build a Carvana for roofing. I want to be able to sell a product. It's not brain surgery. This is not brain surgery. It's a freaking roof. Everything that you have to do to put together an estimate for someone is simple math. So easy. It's so simple. It's coming. We know it's coming. I mean, my next thing is how do we install roofs without a human being? You know, whether it's Elon's robots or whoever, it's going that way. It's gonna end up happening. We're gonna either have a 3D printing roofing machine or a robot that's installing, and insurance prices are gonna plummet because now it's no longer a human being that's up on a 3-story roof at a 12-12 pitch. You're gonna see a lot of changes. One of the big changes that's going to come now is the insurance companies are starting to structure their policies to where homeowners are more liable for their roof or their anything that's happening. But that's the big thing right now is that high deductibles, 2 and 3% deductibles, or ACV policies where they're only paid for what's left of life of the roof.
Mhm.
Those are going to start. The full recoverable policies will little by little start going away, and that will create a big shift in our industry for those people that are latent and heavy on insurance claim projects. So it's going to be interesting to see. I've got friends of mine that are in that world, in that space, developing software to help mitigate some of that action that's going to be happening for sure.
Yeah, and, so that kinda brings up, another question is, here in Florida, every 15 years now, you have to put on a new roof, and the insurance company will literally drop you. Is that the same way in Ohio?
It's not. We don't have the hurricanes, so we don't have that issue. We don't.
Yeah, I figured that was more our thing, but
But we do have where the insurance companies are now inspecting the roof, at or think about that. Pretty soon, you're not going to have to inspect the roof as far as to look for the age. You're going to have enough information out in the Ethernet to be able to say this roof was replaced 5 years ago, or the last time there was any permits pour on this project was in 82. You're going to know through AI. That's going to know. It's going to have the information to be able to give you that answer to that question. So at that point, they're going to tell the customer, we can only bring you on if you replace the roof, and that's happening right now, where customers. And that's one of the big things that we push with the real estate. We do a lot of real estate transactions because we've gotten the name in that part of our business here. They know that we can get them an estimate immediately. I can spit out an estimate within minutes for any one of my customers. Literally, that's unheard of in our industry. To
yeah,
be
it is.
to be able to do that with the real estate agents is incredible. But now we say, listen, this roof has got maybe 2 or 3 years old, and that might be okay with the buyer. But if when he goes to get his policy, the insurance company is going to probably force him to put a new roof on. So work that into the deal right now, knowing that, and it happens all the time. We get thank you letters, emails, and pats on the back from our agents saying, "Thank you so much for that. We had no idea that was going to happen. Thank you for helping us circumvent that
Yeah,
issue."
that's great. When you put in a new roof on, I know, like, for instance, GAF, they have these crazy long warranties, that go, 25, 50 years in some cases. Um, that kind of like takes away from the follow-up and being able to do add-ons as the roof goes on. Do you find that to be a problem, or is it like you go out, you do a roof, especially in residential, and then you kind of move on to the next? Are there ways that you go about trying to create more business from that one roof install?
Well, I mean, obviously, because we are full service construction, we've in the last 12 months, 16 months, have started to push the guys to start selling other things. The remodel, windows, siding, painting, the concrete driveways. We could do pretty much build a house from the ground up. So getting the guys to understand that it's that uncomfortable feeling that you have trying to put out a proposal for something that you don't know a lot about, that keeps them from doing that. So we're, little by little kind of giving them hints and tips on how to process those estimates or quote those projects. The warranties are meaningless. And I tell people that all the time. You know full well that a shingle is not going to last 50 years. And they bank on the fact that you're going to move out in 5 years.
Right.
GAF knows they've done their algorithms, they've done their math homework to know that the majority of their customers will have moved out of the house that they put the roof on with 3 to 5 years or something, some number like that. So putting a number on the end of the warranty doesn't really mean a whole lot of difference. Now, is it a selling tool? You bet it is. And that's our biggest competitor. We use an IKO shingle because it's the heaviest shingle, not because of anything other than the fact that it's the heaviest shingle on the market. We love the size and the bulk of it. And if I'm going to be putting a roof on my house, want it to hold on. And GAF shingle is the lightest on the market. So that's my sell out of that. Well, they're going to give me a 50-year warranty. I'm like, they need to give you a 50-year warranty because their shingles are going to blow off after the first storm. That's the whole thing, is that when you start being able to teach the guys the technical side of what we do. I grew up in the era where we were still learning. We still had to work with a roofing crew, even though we didn't know what we were doing, to learn the basics of roofing so that when we went to sell something, we could describe it in detail. When someone said, well, that's going to do that, we can say, no, it's not. That's not how our roof goes, and be able to explain to them why. Little trying to teach our guys that is fun. Number one, I love taking the guys every sporadically. I'll say, hey, come meet me at this job. I want you to show you how we do this or why we do this, and that's important, because that's how you sell out of somebody who's pushing a GAF shingle. When you've got a shingle that's 30 to 40 pounds lighter per square than the shingle that you're putting on, that's an easy thing to sell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love getting your guys out there and, getting their hands dirty. Um, how else are you gonna learn? You can tell people all your sales team all you want, about, the technical specs and all that kind of thing, but until you actually get out there and you get your hands dirty and you see what's going on, you're up on the roof, you're seeing what your crews are doing, how it happens, all of that needs to be explained to your customer. Um, you
Absolutely.
know, simple logistics, where we're gonna put the dumpster, kind of thing, porta potties.
Yeah.
You gotta understand, even on the sales end, that when it comes down to those questions, it's like, you better have an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, but one of my pet peeves is a sales guy selling something that's very difficult to do for very little money. They're like,
Ah,
"It's just
yeah,
replacing one pipe boot. It's no big deal." I'm like, "But it's a 12-12, 3 stories up. Who are you going to pay $25 because that's all you built in for labor to do that?" And getting them to realize that, and that's the important thing about getting them out in the job. If they can see, if they can feel a bundle, lift a bundle of shingles up, feel how heavy it is, know that it's not as easy as what you think it is. Just driving somewhere right now is crazy because of traffic, gas, and
yeah,
so there's a lot of things that a lot of mitigating factors that come into play, and they need to know that. They need to feel that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Carlos, I this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time
Yeah.
and your insight. I think you have a lot to offer, and obviously you are a true professional with lots of background there. So I really appreciate you coming on the AI hard hats. Is there anything you want to say? Give yourself a plug for the people in your area.
No, man, I love. First of all, I sit on the board of the Better Business Bureau here in Cincinnati, which is unheard of for a roofing company. Our industry doesn't have the best name in the world of trades. I hope that as things start to improve with technology, that people use it for the right reasons, to be able to become a better customer service person. And that's the big thing, is that we fight and have to fight against things that other roofing companies have done and issues they've created.
Mm,
The integrity is big. We need to make sure that our industry sticks to the integrity of what it takes. Right now, any Joe Blow can open up a roofing company. There's no licensing here. There's nothing. So
mm,
you got dozens of salespeople every year think they know how to run a roofing company because they can sell a roof. And then before you know it, we're having to put a roof on for an elderly gentleman. We just did this about 6 months ago, who the contractor went out of business, took his deposit, 20 grand out of a $30,000 job, and then just disappeared. So the insurance agent knows us and asked us to help out, so we did it at cost. We do a lot of that. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone to be a shyster. It just creates problems for everyone.
Well, it's a black eye on the industry, and it's something that you have to overcome all the time. It's something about this industry is really over the years has just developed a reputation, like you say.
Yep,
So it's Yeah, so it's always good to have reputable contractors, license and people like you that know exactly what you're doing. Continental Roofing. There you go. And what's your website?
ContiRoofCo.com. Conti Roofco, CONT.
Gotcha. And again, your website's very well laid out. If anybody needs to contact you, you got everything right there, and tells you a little bit of everything about what you got going on. Very good. All right, Carlos. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I really, again, appreciate your time and talking to us. All right, thank you so much.